Hello again and welcome to the third episode of the Joy of Photo Colorization. Today we are going to work on this lovely picture of this little French girl. The original dates from October 1913. And as always, I've already restored the photo and got it ready for our colorization. And I've also created the palette I'm going to use. This time I used this little girl, which I think everyone will agree is quite a similar girl to the one we are colorizing. So I've used this little girl to create the palette we are going to use, the main palette we're going to use for the skin and the hair. Now, as always, both the restored versions plus the palette will be available on my website for you to download so you can colorize along with me. And all the links for everything, as always, is down below in the description. So let us start. And as always, I am going to bring the little girl closer to us so we can actually see clear what we are going to do. And I am going to first start with her skin. So as always, I am going to add a layer. So add, and I'm going to call this layer skin base, and I'm going to change the mode of that to LCH color. Okay, and then using the picker here, I'm going to pick the base, which I chose this time to be this one. And then with the paintbrush, I am going to start painting her skin. So here we go. Now, around 1900, photography of little girls, such as this one, became quite big in France. And they were used, this kind of photographs, they were used mainly in things like greeting cards. So it's very common to find these beautiful angelic looking children in greeting cards of all kinds, even Christmas, Valentine's, happy birthday, etc, etc. But she's definitely one of my favorites. I think you'll agree she does look very, very angelical. I think her parents would have struggled to say no to this face. So basically, as you can see, I'm going around all these little nooks and crannies. So you can sort of increase and decrease the size of your brush as you go along, and you can also increase the size of the picture so you can actually get to the little bits in an easier way. Because sometimes we think it looks also lovely, and then suddenly we make the picture bigger, or we zoom in and it doesn't look as perfect as we anticipated. So it's always a good idea to zoom in and zoom out. And even if you don't want to zoom in and zoom out when you're doing the coloring, you can always sort of zoom in every now and then just to check that what you're doing is right. Okay, so like for example here, when I zoom in, I realize that I missed a little bit of a skin here and there. There. Okay. I'm gonna colorize the inside of her eyes here this time, because we're gonna do something different. Okay, now I don't know about you, but I like to name the subjects in my photo if I don't know their name. Now I'm gonna just take the eraser there, and I'm gonna sort of correct these bits here. And in this case, I've decided that I'm going to call it Daphne. Daphne was a kind of a a popular name. Have a look at the tool options. Make sure your opacity on your eraser is on maximum when you're erasing, otherwise it's only erasing bits instead of the whole thing. Like I was saying, Daphne was quite a popular name around this time. And interesting, my mother-in-law was also called Daphne, and she didn't like the name, but I did, and I do. I wanted to actually give that name to my daughter, but my husband was opposed to it, and so was all the family, because apparently it's a very old name. Now, 18 years after my daughter is born, it's kind of becoming quite popular to use these old names again, so I'm very glad. And my daughter has a beautiful name as well. I ended up naming her after my wonderful and very loved grandmother, so it's all good in the end. Okay, so we're sort of getting to the end of the base skin. Lovely. So I'm gonna keep the face like big on the screen as we go on to the next thing. And what I am doing here with the smudge tool, or I like to call it the blending tool, but it's a smudge tool. I'm sort of smudging the edges, blending the edges, so we don't have any hard edges. I'm sure you've heard me say that before. Okay. Lovely. Daphne is looking really, really nice. Okay, so now I'm gonna add the shadows to the face. So I'm gonna add a new layer, and I'm gonna call these shadows. And this time I don't want it to be LCH color mode. I'm gonna go with a soft light mode. So I'm gonna go up here, look for it, and there we go, soft light. Okay, and I press OK. And now, using the picker, I'm gonna have to go and find the dark color. And I'm gonna use this color here. Okay, and I can bring it back. And now I am going to sort of go over the darker parts of the photo, like here. Sort of the side of the nose, and here. Okay, and now the edges of her face. Now, as you progress where using the shadows, the other thing to consider is the lighting. So in this photo, it's obvious that this side of the face is lighter than that side, and that's because the light would have been coming from this in this direction. So because of that, we are adding this shade here, this darkness here, so it sort of brings the face, it gives the face some kind of some more depth. I think that's how you say it in English. Depth. It's looking deep, to make the face look deeper, sort of more three-dimensional as opposed to two-dimensional. Okay, so now I'm going to reduce the opacity of the shadows well down. Okay, it's about 34. Let's do it 40. What the heck, there you go. And now we're going to use the blending tool, and as you can see, we sort of blend it. Now don't go like crazy with big movements, we're just going like little movements. There you go. So basically this will be highlighting the features of her face, and as you can see, So the idea is that by the time you finish blending, the shadows should almost appear seamless on the face. Okay, we shouldn't see that we went with a, I don't know, like a felt tip and did this. So we're making it all very, very seamless, almost to the point that you think, oh, but what's the point of doing that? You can hardly see it. You can't see it at all. But the proof is on the checking, and you will see now what I mean. So although it looks very seamless, if you turn it off, you can actually see the difference straight away. You see, so this is without the shadows and this is with. So straight away, for example, her nose is already looking much more defined than without. Okay, so we've added the shadows, and now we're gonna add the highlights, because we can't add shadows without highlights. And I know that's not how you spell highlights, but you get the gist. And now I'm gonna there, and I am going to pick the lightest color of them all. So here with the picker, I'm going to pick this one. Okay, and bring it close to me again. And now I'm going to add the highlights. So the highlights I like to add generally like the middle of a nose. Now this is also a soft light layer, and like I think it's called the T-zone. I like to add a little bit here and a little bit underneath her eyes. This is someone told me the other day that this kind of resembles a little bit of when you apply makeup. I don't use makeup, so I don't know 100%, but apparently, yeah. Okay, so now we're going to bring again the opacity very low to about 30, and you guessed, we're going to take the blender again, and we will start blending. So there we go. Now I actually do this on a touch screen computer, so all this blending I actually do with my finger, and it's very satisfying. It's very satisfying. But yeah, blend, 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 blend. Okay. Daphne is starting to look really lovely. Okay, so again you can turn it on and off and you can see the difference. And for example, you can see that this eye here wasn't blended properly, so we just blend it a bit more. Okay, so now she's a child, so she doesn't need as much combination of colors as an adult, for example. Her skin is still very, very pure. So I'm going to jump straight ahead and I'm going to give her the rosy parts. Rose. Again, soft light. And I'm going to go with the dark one here. I might change my mind, but we can do that, especially when we work digitally, because we can just delete it and start again. So I'm sort of putting some pink here, and I'm going to give her some rosiness on her cheeks. Okay, and again I'm going to turn that down. And I'm gonna blend. And blend. And now I think her lips are looking a little bit orangey. So what I'm going to do is I am going to erase the skin base. So I'm going to basically turn off all the layers, and I'm going to go back to the skin base, and using the eraser I am going to erase the base color from her lips, because I think the color then will come through better. So I'm going to erase the color of the lips. Okay, and I'm going to turn back on the layers, and if I add the rose now, oh, sorry, that was a mistake. Right, what I did just there, it's actually important for me to tell you. See, I started coloring there, but I'm on the wrong layer. So that's not what you want to do. You want to colorize on the right layer. So the rose layer here is where you should do the lips. So I'm going to go back to the skin base, and I'm going to undo that. And now back to the right layer. Okay. Now some of you might be thinking, oh yes, but now her lips are starting to look a little bit like too purple, but we haven't finished yet, so we are going to fix that. Okay. And the reason how we're going to do this is we're actually going for the first time to add a layer just for the lips. But before we do that, let's just add the little red things on her eyes there, and also here the edge. Okay. And blend, 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 blend. Blend, 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 blend. Okay, and I'm going to go back to the skin base, and I'm also going to delete the part here that was on the inside of her eye, because I think it looks better sort of going with a kind of a whitish color. And blend, 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 and blend, 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 blend. And now with the rose. Okay. Okay, so the lips look a little bit too purplish, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm going to call that layer lips. Okay. And I'm actually going to go with a LCH color layer because I want a deeper color. And then I'm going to pick the lighter pink here. So I'm going to take the picker, pick the lighter pink, and then I'm going to start filling in her lips. Okay. Okay. Right. And now I will bring the opacity to about 50. going to bring the opacity of the rose to about 42. Go back to the lips. Okay. And now with the blender, I'm sort of blending around the edges of the lips, because again, I don't want it to look like she has like lip liner or something like that. So we just want to, and maybe just add a tiny bit of pink there, and maybe just a tiny bit here as well, just a couple of lines that we can then blend, just to add a little bit of extra color, just tiny bit there. Okay, I don't know about you, but I think Daphne is looking very, very pretty. Okay, so now let's do her eyes. So first we're going to do the eye white, and we're going to do that in soft color, soft light. There we go. Okay, and for the eye white we will pick, we won't go to the palette. What we do is we come here to the colors, that to the foreground color menu. We go here on the blue, and we go almost to the end, not quite to the end. We don't want it white, even though we think it's white, it's not. We want to go sort of somewhere here. Okay, so just a little tiny square there. That's the color we want, and we press OK. You see the color there? Press OK. And now we are going to color the white parts of her eye. And we're also going to add some color to the white bits inside of her, is it her corneas, her iris, you know, the bit that's not white. Okay, right, but now we need to bring the opacity very low here, see, and then blend around the edges again. Blend, 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 blend. Okay, and now we're going to go back and we're going to pick the you see that square you've got there? We're going to do a same square here, but on the dark bit. Press OK, and then we are going to add a line here above her eye that goes all over the eye. Okay, and then we are going to again blend very little. You don't want to get it all on the white. Yeah, this is just basically, this is the shadow of the eyelashes. Okay, and now what I have noticed is here I didn't apply the base color enough, so I'm just going to go back to the base color for a moment, and I'm just using the blend. I'm just going to bring it down a little bit there. That's better, and the shadow as well. Okay, right, let's go back to the eye white. Lovely. Okay, so let's give her some nice blue eyes. So we add a new layer and we put color, eye, soft light still, and now we can go back to our palette, and using the picker I'm going to pick this blue, and now we go back and we are going to paint inside her eyes. As you can see, it's a very, very subtle color. And what we can then do is we can add another layer, Colourize 2, and we can do it again in not all over, just in certain bits, so it gives that kind of difference of color in some areas of the eye. And we can also go back to the color, bring this all the way down here. So what you're looking for is a complete zeros here, yeah, and add a little bit of this dark in the center of the eye. And we're also going to go over her beautiful eyelashes. Sort of just roughly. And we're going to bring that well down to about 53. And then we're going to blend the eyelashes bit. So just blend it, because obviously we don't want our brush strokes to be seen. Okay, so let's see what she looks like. I think she's looking very pretty. Okay, so I think it's time now to move on to the hair. And we're going to hair base. Okay, and for the hair base we are going to go with this brown here. And we are going to fill all of this with this color. These beautiful waves. I'm sure this girl slept with papillotes on her hair. I remember my nana once putting papillotes on my hair, and I woke up and I had all these beautiful curls that then went pretty much flat after an hour, because my hair was always quite straight. But it still was so cute to, you know, to go to sleep looking a little bit like Laura Ingalls. No, not Laura Ingalls, the other one, the evil one, what's her name? Nellie Olsen. So here we go. Colorizing all her hair. And this is the time where you can have your favorite music playing in the background, or if you are someone that enjoys reading but like me never have time to actually read, I've recently discovered the wonderful thing about audiobooks. It's wonderful because basically while you are doing this, you can basically listen to your favorite books. So I filled in all her hair base. I'm going to now lower the opacity, not too much, to about 70, about 80, around there. And I'm going to use my blender to blend all these edges. But like I was saying, you can do you can catch up on some reading by listening to audiobooks while you do this. It's lovely. It's like having, especially, I don't like the computerized ones, but you can get some ones that are actually like read by the author or read by voice actors. And it's lovely. It's a really wonderful way to catch up on reading and do two things at the same time. Okay, I think I'm gonna make a skin base go a little bit up there. I think there. Actually more like skin than hair. There, just to blend it together. So I go to the skin, blend, 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 blend. Go to the hair, blend, 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 blend. And the idea is you get that kind of feel there. And now I'm gonna add some highlights to the hair. So hair highlights. See, I do know how to spell highlights. Okay. And choosing the picker, I'm gonna pick this one now. Still all soft light, and I'm going to add a few. Just a few strands here and there. Okay, and now again with the blender we're going to blend it all. Now it's important to go in the direction of the hair. And obviously I forgot, we need to lower the opacity first. There we go. So basically with the blender I'm sort of blending the highlights and sort of bringing them into the rest of the hair, which some of it will be darker, some of it will be lighter. Okay. Now at this point you can carry on adding more highlights, less highlights, but I am conscious of the time, so I'm going to leave it here for now. Okay. And now we're going to do her bow as we're here. So let's do her bow, and let's call this bow. Now, a lot of people think that, oh, bows, they were always white. They were not actually. A lot of them were white, but little girls had like a lot of satin bows. And in this time, like white dresses with satin sashes that match their bows was quite usual. And I'm sure you've all heard the song "My Favorite Things" in The Sound of Music. You know, girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes. You know, so that's a reference to that kind of thing. So because she's got blue eyes, I have decided that I am going to give her a sort of bluish bow. So I'm going to go here to the middle of the blues, and I'm going to pick here. It's still going to look almost white because it's soft light, but I just wanted to give it a little hint of blue. Let's see, so we're doing a blue bow on her hair. And if you want to cheat a little bit, what you can do now is go back into the eyes in the same thing and just add a tiny bit of blue, because I do like, but this is a question of taste. Some might think, oh, but it looks a bit artificial, her eyes now. But hey, we're artists. We have to have some creative license, right? So now we're going to bring that there. So you see there is a hint of blue, but it's not too much. And we can't see her sash. No, we cannot. But what we can do is, using the same blue, I'm actually going to divide this outfit into, I think that this bit here is white, but the bit underneath could have been sort of a soft blue, and that's what we're going with. So we're going to put this bit here blue. I didn't add a new layer, I'm sure you've noticed, because we are still working on the fabric. And it's the same color. And this kind of fades to the bottom, so and now with your blender here in these bits, you can sort of blend it so it doesn't look so like cutthroat kind of thing. And we can also blend it into these little corners here. Okay. And now we will add a new layer for the little ruffle, which we will make white. And I know you think, oh, but it's already white, but it's not. You must add a color to everything, even if you're adding white. So we're going to go really close to the edge there, still on the blues, using a soft light layer, and we are going to colorize the ruffles. Now I do realize I'm sort of going a little bit fast because I'm sort of becoming conscious of the time. The trim here we left white as well, but you can really take your time and sort of go much slower and make sure that all these little crinkets and little edges are done properly. Okay. Now we're going to bring that down, and really quite down, because we still want to see the lace kind, the embroidery underneath. So if you leave it too opaque, you start losing these little details, and we don't want to lose details, because details are part of history, and we're not here to destroy history or change history. We colorize photos to enhance history. That's what we do, and that's why we take the time to always like research colors and you know, ensure that we're not just painting pictures. We're doing this with a purpose. Okay. Oh, I think Daphne's looking very pretty. What do you think? So now I am going to turn off the palette and maybe just add a little color to the background. So I'm going to add a final layer. Background, and I'm going to go with soft light. And because we've already used blue on all of her clothing and her eyes are blue as well, I'm actually going to go with a pink this time. So I'm going to go like with this pink, and we're just going to add, again as always, we're not going to add color to everything, just a little bit kind of around. Now again, I am going a little bit fast, so you will go much slower, so you don't have the kind of problems that I'm having. So just there we go, just in the top bit. Now I can just correct these little bits here. Okay, and now I will make this very, very pale. Yeah, and then with the blender, just go around and make sure that there's no major sort of color over things. And then we're almost now at the end. Blend it there as well. Yeah, and I think we're done. So this is little Daphne before, this is little Daphne now. Follow me for